Right, enough of that. We're doing Diabolical Dieticians. It's Abbey Sharp. Off you go, Abbey.
Hey guys, it's me, Debbie. Today I'm covering the basis of why potatoes are making you fat, sick, and ugly, and why you want to cut those carb bombs out of your life for good. And I've partnered with McCain, who are sponsoring this video, to tell you why that's really not necessary. And I've partnered with McCain, who are sponsoring this video, to tell you why that's really not necessary. Well, I've been doing some extensive research on Dr. Google, and I found out that the key to a healthy life and a hot bod is to get the hell away from potatoes. Let's talk about why those starchy potatoes have got to go. Potatoes make you gain weight, and they spike your blood sugar because they're full of carbs. Oh gosh, Debbie, we've talked about this before. Carbs do not make you fat, and cutting out carbs are not going to necessarily make you skinny.
So to make a statement like carbs do not make you fat, that's a very definitive statement. That's also not true on the basis of its surety of expression. It's the scope, the range of the promise being made by the words chosen by Abbey there. Carbs do not make you fat is what she said. Well, they can.
In fact, your brain needs carbs in order to function optimally.
That's a new song, isn't it? We've never heard that song before. Of course, your brain needs glucose to function, is what these dietitians say, more often than not. And then you're left to assume that the only place your body can get those carbohydrates from is if you eat some. Theoretically, if your body was capable of producing all the glucose it needs for physiological process at any given time itself, using non-glucose precursors, that would negate that argument entirely. So you're left to assume that that other part of the argument isn't in play. Well, it is. We do have such a system. It's called gluconeogenesis.
And research has actually looked at low versus higher carb diets and found that low carb diets are no more successful when it comes to weight loss. Ditto for low versus high glycemic index diets.
Okay, so the problem with all of that is what Abbey started with was a statement, research shows. And then she's made a bunch of statements about what she's going to interpret research as having shown. What she's not going to do is supply us with any research. Watch this for propaganda.
And this does not really surprise me very much, considering the research also has shown that diets in general don't work. So please...
Oh, hang on. Research has shown that diets in general don't work. That's a very definitive statement there, Abbey, isn't it? Very, very sure of yourself. Wrong. Again.
Just stop the carb fear right there. Now, specific to potatoes...
Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? The big bad wolf, the big bad wolf. Or carbs? Why would you be afraid of carbs? There's no need to be afraid of carbs. All you need to do is avoid eating too many of them, which, to all intents and purposes, should ideally be about none. And any amount more than none is kind of a step back from the ideal situation.
A large meta-analysis found that there
A large meta-analysis? Which one, Abbey?
wasn't a strong association between eating potatoes and the risk of obesity, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes.
Well, what a shock, because none of these nutritional epidemiology studies find particularly convincing findings of any kind. They find statistically significant ones, but that doesn't, to all intents and purposes, translate to any clinical utility, even if the relationships that were being reported were in fact causal relationships, which they are not.
If you peel potatoes, you lose out on all the nutrients. Oh, stop being dramatic. Potatoes are an excellent source of vitamin C.
So's meat.
They have more potassium than a banana, plus
So does bacon.
B6, iron, magnesium, and high-quality carbohydrates.
There's no such thing, Abbey. High-quality carbohydrates in the diet. The exact requirement in the human diet for carbohydrates is none, ever. And the assertion that you can delineate the quality of one carbohydrate from another is ludicrous in terms of the actual knock-on cause and effect on someone's health.
The only thing you're kind of missing out on when you peel your potato is the fiber. And
well, that's okay, because the requirement for fiber is the same as it is for carbohydrate. None.